Now, let's discuss the 21 sales closing techniques. And this is a combination of different techniques that you can use. Now, a technique, of course, you're going to go into it, but a technique is something that that works, or an approach that works. So a technique is mostly a way of you doing something. Then later on, as we are going to winding up on the 21 sales techniques, now you can come up with your own strategy of how you can close a person. So if you're talking about 21 sales closing techniques, these are 21 different approaches that you can have when you're closing someone. Now, let me just tell you this. Of course, we're going to go into it in details in a few, but not one technique can be enough. Not one technique can be enough. You use a combination of different techniques. Now, this different combination of techniques is now what we call a strategy. And every person can have their own technique. All right. Now, so I was telling you guys earlier that when you combine different techniques, you now have a strategy. Na kila mtu anaweza kuwa na their own closing strategy. You can use a combination of 5, 6, 7, or even 10, or even 15 techniques, and then you can come up with your own strategy. So ladies and gentlemen, the only reason why I'm teaching you all these strategies is so that unaweza kuwa a pro in a way, in your own way. Not necessarily you have to follow my way, of which some of you guys have seen how I do the last bit of the presentation. That's the altar call. And it's still closing because I combine a different set of techniques that you guys are going to learn here in a few moments. Now, if you want to be a good closer, it's always going to be a daily practice. The more you learn on closing, the more you become better at it. The first time you might not get it right. The second time, even worse. The third time might be even crazy. But the moment you just get the first type of closing right, then it becomes so much easier from there on. Now, these are the 21 sales closing techniques, and I prepared something so that you can learn something. Now, maybe your sales pipeline needs a bit of oiling. Maybe you guys have been trying to close someone who has attended the presentation, and you're wondering, why am I not getting results? Why am I not getting this and that and that and that? Don't worry. Maybe you are getting a steady flow of leads, but you're struggling to close them. If that's the case, then you're not alone. About 36% of salespeople say that most challenging part of the sales process is closing, followed by qualifying the sales prospect at 22%. So a lot of people in this industry, and also in other industries that involve sales, they have a hard time getting the deal done, probably because they don't know how to approach the deal and how to make sure that they get a yes, they get a yes until the last bit when the client is actually buying into the project. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if your leads aren't making it to the end of the sales funnel, then it may be time to update your sales strategies. The good news is, with the right techniques, remember I was telling you, kuna techniques na kuna strategies. So the good news is, with the right techniques, you can potentially increase your sales and revenue, but which should you put to the test? Now, here's a look at some of the sales tactics that work the best, and we want to discuss now, what is a closing technique? What is a technique when you talk about sales? Now, a closing technique in sales is a method used to encourage prospects to convert into customers. Are you together? A technique is a method. The same I was just telling you, it's an approach. It's a way of doing something, so that is used to encourage a prospect to convert into customers. So there's a process to closing this. You have to pique their interest. You have to make your guest be interested. Then butter them up with benefits. Unawapaka mafuta. Maybe let me directly translate it. So you have to, make them interested. How are you going to make them interested? Remember the presentation which we were talking about? Yes. So you have to pick their interest, make sure they're interested, and then heap on benefits, endelea kuongeza the benefits and benefits and benefits, and then offer an unbeatable deal. How do we do this? Someone starts the presentation and then give them the benefits, and then when I step in, I also add them even more benefits, and then I give them an unbeatable deal. That is a 90 days game plan. But this is easier said than done. Sometimes you might think, oh, Glenn is so good in this. Sometimes it also frustrates me. Sometimes I don't get it right. So it is easier said than done. This is why you'll find dozens of techniques used by sales teams. So you can combine a set of techniques and then you can come up with your own way of working it out. What works for one lead may not work for the next. That's why I've told you guys that sometimes I also don't get it right, because sometimes, humans are not robots that you can just put in one program and it can work for everyone. No, 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 no. Humans are very complex beings. So one day you might get it right for one person and you might feel, this is easy. Then the next day you go to another person and you get it completely wrong and you'll wonder, what is wrong with me? The issue is not with you. The issue is with the technique which you have decided to apply. Now, there are some ways to which you can get to how to increase your results, basically by knowing one person from the next one and differentiating them so that you can know which technique is best suited for this person. That's why what works for one lead may not work for the next. The sales process is anything but smooth. Getting prospects to reach the finishing line can be a very, very treacherous journey. It can be a journey full of uncertainty. You can start with one person and you might end up getting a very big yes, and you might end up with, or you might start with 5 people and you end up all of them telling you no, 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 no. So you might keep on wondering, which is the best way, which is the best approach to this. I put together a list of closing techniques for you to try. So I put them, a bunch of them together. Now, I want to encourage you guys, once we are done with this, go through this once again, one step at a time, and try to understand what each technique inamaanisha. And if you don't end up using just one technique for 100 people, chances are you might close only 2-3 people at most, but the other 100, you're going to lose them. But the moment you learn a combination of techniques, what works for one person, you'll automatically know this cannot work for this person. So you add another one or you subtract another technique out of that mix. Now, what are the best closing techniques in sales? Now, know the difference between a strategy and a technique. Are we together? Now, I told you earlier that a strategy is a combination of actions, while a technique is the action itself or the method or the approach itself. So you can have a combination of approaches. So that is, a strategy is a plan of action to achieve a goal, while a technique is a method you use to work towards reaching that goal. So closing requires you to have a strategy, and those strategy or any strategy might require you to have a technique that you're going to use or a combination of techniques. So your closing strategies should use a mix of closing techniques to achieve the results you are aiming for. If you're searching for ways to enhance your sales closing strategies, then check out the following closing techniques, and we are starting officially. The first technique is called making an assumption, or we call it assumptive close. Making an assumption or assumptive close. By assuming that your prospect is ready to close, it can help motivate them to do so. For example, you can ask them, is this the type of product you are looking for, or do you think the benefits are worth the investment? I always make that assumption that for any person who would want to be a success in this project, then we are assuming you are ready to get started with this. Are we together? So, sorry. How about now? Can you hear me clearly? Can you hear me clearly? So as I was saying that sometimes you have to work with the assumption that the person you're talking to is ready to get started. This person is ready to go for it. Are you together? So we always ask a question like, maybe for example, if I'm the one who helped you to get started, I always ask you, do you have the qualities required for you to get started? That's a question which I'm asking. Of course, I am assuming that you are ready to get started. So the next question I ask you is, which package do you want to start with? I don't ask you, do you want this? Do you know how this? No, I don't ask you that question. I always go straight to the point that if you are ready to do this, then which package do you want to start with? So I always work with that assumption. The goal is to bring in positivity. Sometimes showing good intentions earns trust. And by asking assumptive question, it gets the prospect's mind working on making a decision. A very good example is immediately after the presentation, you always ask your guest, or I always ask them. Of course, we'll get to that bit when I'll be taking you through the strategy that I use and that the team actually uses. So I usually ask them, what did you love the most from the entire presentation? I usually ask that question. Even if I've never interacted with you, at some point I usually ask you, what did you love the most about the entire presentation? The question, the major thing at that point is love. What did you love the most? I'm assuming from the entire presentation, there is something that you totally loved about this business. So that is making an assumption. There's something that you loved about this business, and that's something I would wish to know what it is. I'm assuming there's something you loved. So the goal is to bring positivity. That is why you are working with an assumption. The second one is called offering an alternative option. And sometimes shifting the focus onto a different product or service can help seal the deal. Like when a customer seems iffy about a price point or features, and when this occurs, provide another option that better suits their needs and make sure to offer two options for them to make a selection. So by offering a choice, it encourages a lead to make or to make a buying decision versus no decision at all. Now, what do I mean? When you're offering an alternative option, there is something which you usually see in when I'm ending the last bit of the presentation. I usually tell them, the first option is you do your full payment, or alternatively, you can commit at least 30% and you are still going to get a mentorship agreement form. I am offering an alternative option. If you cannot go for this, then the only option I'm allowing you to be part of our project is if you commit at least 30%. And you can use this in so many ways. Let's say someone is telling you, at the moment, I don't have, let's say they want to go for a Neoverse, but I have like 20 or so thousand. What can you tell them? I will advise you, John, that instead of, maybe if you cannot go for the full 39,000 for the Neoverse, then I will advise you to start with the one account option, which goes for 26,888. I think I offered some of you that option, and some of you were like, no. I'd rather just go for the 3 accounts option, because you are looking at those two options which were provided. I offered you an alternative. You go for this, or if you cannot go for this, you go for this less option. And most of you are like, I would rather just start with this option. So that is offering an alternative option. It helps you when a prospect is not ready to make a decision, so that when you give them 2 options, it will put them in a position where they'll have to pick one option instead of not them picking any option at all. So by offering a choice, it encourages the leads or the prospect to make a buying decision versus no decision at all. Now, the third thing is called the that is asking a sharp angle question, or it's called the sharp angle clause. So the other one was the alternative option clause. Now, the third one is a sharp angle clause or asking sharp angle question. Now, a prospect is wondering whether or not your product or service is right for them. So they ask questions about its capabilities. When they do, follow up with a question like, if it does do X, will you be willing to purchase today? And ladies and gentlemen, this question you always hear me asking. If I could show you a strategy, a success plan, a business idea, which could help you to accomplish this and that, number 3, number 4, and number 5, would you be willing to go for it? If I could show you a plan, a strategy, would you be willing to go for it? Another sharp angle question is, if I could top you up maybe 1 or 2 or 3,000, would you be willing to book your account partially? That is a sharp angle question. As in, we are going straight and then I'm coming for you. We are going straight and then I ask you a question which you have to tell me a yes or a no. But remember, only use this strategy when you receive a positive response. It could backfire otherwise. So when someone is positive enough and they're telling you, yes, I'm willing to be part of it, I want to do this. Oh, yes, this is a very wonderful project. Then you tell them, if I could help you to secure your mastermind mentorship slot, would you be willing to get started today? So you don't go direct. That's why I told you, only do closing to someone who has thoroughly gone through the presentation, has all the information. Because once you ask this question to someone who does not have the information, it could backfire terribly on your face. Let's go to the fourth one. That is creating a sense of urgency, or the urgency clause. Now, lighting a fire under a sales prospects can sometimes get them to move faster. Hopefully it's in the right direction. So to encourage a positive outcome, you should mention things like a limited time offer or a limited number of mentorship slots or open slots. You hear me tell them, guys, this is the only time we are doing this until. So we are talking about, hopefully it's in the right direction. So this is meant to encourage a positive outcome. You should mention things like a limited time offer or a limited number of open slots. Of course, this has to be true. Sometimes when I'm giving out the offer, I'm telling them, guys, this is the only mentorship program that you're going to be doing in the next, I don't know how many months. And I'm only giving a chance to the first 3 people who are ready to go for it. And sometimes these offers, they really help your person to think quite faster. Sometimes they might be on the fence. Should I go for this? Should I not go for this? But then you tell them, this is an opportunity which is not going to be there again. Like, for example, discounts. Like, for example, when iPhone says, this iPhone 14 Pro Max normally goes for 300,000 Kenyan shillings. This is iPhone 15 Pro Max. It usually goes for 300,000 Kenyan shillings. But then the first 5 people to make their purchase will get a 30% discount. So someone is wondering, if I do my purchase today, that means I can get the iPhone for about 210,000 Kenyan shillings. They'll have to go for it immediately. So the first 5 people, or this is a discount, or for this month, for this week, we are giving out a 50% discount for those people who are ready to do their iPhone purchases. So you discover that urgency within that week, people will struggle as much as possible to get started or to make that decision. This is called the urgency clause. I hope you've understood it. And you can see how I usually apply it when I'm closing the session. So when I'm teaching you when I'll teach you guys the strategy that I use, how to use the words that I use, um, I'll give you the words to use when you're talking about urgency, how to create the urgency. I'll show you what words to use and how to use it. Right now, let's just learn this different set of techniques. Now, number 5 is giving a professional suggestion, or it's called the professional suggestion clause. Now, with this kind of clause, you are actually putting yourself in a position of authority or experience or knowledge, and you're giving them as a suggestion. You hear the way a doctor is telling you, in my opinion, I think you should just avoid eating avocados. This will help you to have smoother skin. Now, you as a patient, you don't have the authority to question the doctor because the doctor knows best. I don't know if you're getting this professional suggestion clause, because you're giving your suggestion as an expert in this industry. Did you do an excellent job in building a rapport with a prospect? Then you may be able to offer a recommendation that they actually take. This will only work if the lead views you as a trusted expert. Some of you guys, you gave me a hard time when I was closing you. But the moment I told you, hey, let's do this, instead of you taking 5 months for you to get started, how about I can help you to get started, and this will give you this advantage? And most of you are like, yes, I think that's the best option. Now, what does this mean, guys? It means that ile time yenye you're going to be closing a sale, you are an expert. Carry yourself as an expert. You are an expert in the industry. Let's see you as an expert. Your prospect will only respect you if they feel that you are the right person to support them, that you have all the knowledge and the tools that you need to support them. Are we together? So your approach should be light, friendly, and relevant. Don't recommend the highest priced product just to beef up your pockets. If it doesn't make sense to the lead and their situation, then you lose any trust you earn. For example, if you go to the hotel, if you go to a hotel and clearly at the back of your pocket, you only have 200 shillings between you and poverty. Now, you ask the waiter or the waitress, how much are the fries? Do you have fries? Because at the back of your head, you are calculating, I only have 200 shillings, which is enough for me to only eat chips, or for me to eat fries, or for me to eat, let's say, chapati, and that's it. But then the waiter tells you, okay, chips is good, but what about you eating pork chops with yogurt and ugali with an extra of sauce? What do you think will happen to you, or what do you think goes through your mind? This waiter or waitress wants me to just buy the most expensive thing, and clearly I don't have it. But a waiter or a waitress who will listen, and they'll tell you, okay, you want chips? Okay. Personally, I will advise, if you want to eat chips but it's not available, how about you just take maybe a chapati and soda? That is a very wonderful waiter. And in fact, you will feel so much excited that this person now understands you. And you'll tell them, yes, how do you, even at the back of your head, you're like, how do you know I'm broke? Clearly, you're a very good person. But a person who will always recommend the highest thing in a professional kind of way, in a bad way, is someone who should not be trusted. Now, let me say this. When you're making a professional suggestion, look at the person you're talking to. Are we together? Sometimes someone says, now, sometimes I am forced to give my professional suggestion in a good way. Like someone might tell you, I want to start with the Neoverse package. And I usually look at them and ask them, why do you want to start with the Neoverse package and it only has 3 profit centers. Personally, I will advise you, this is the best option for you, the Technoverse or the Digiverse package. Because when you have 7 profit centers or when you have 15 profit centers, guess what? This is how we are going to be supporting you. This is how you're going to grow. This is how much profit you can be making. And this is how we are going to support you. This person, instead of starting with the Neoverse, they look at my professional suggestion and the idea that I've shared with them, and they'll quickly buy into the idea. So whatever I'm telling you is this: the professional suggestion should match the person that you are advising. Don't go on advising everyone and you don't know. Probably someone has the capability to go for even the Megaverse package, but they are telling you they can only start with the Neoverse package. Why don't you listen to their opinion and then look at where they stand at? And then we'll talk about low impact questions in a few moments. You'll just ask them a low impact question and then give them a professional suggestion. Like, now this is what I mean. Before it sounds too hard. Now this is what I mean. How do you give your professional suggestion? This is how I do it. I'll teach you the technique later, the strategy that I use later on, but I just wanted to give an idea so that you can understand this. I ask a low impact question. John, you've told me you want to start with the Neoverse package. Why don't you start with the Technoverse package? Where is the problem? Or why don't you start with more profit centers? Then they'll tell you, for me, I feel like I can comfortably afford the Neoverse package. Then I'll tell them, awesome. Now, this is what I can advise you, John. If you want to start with the Neoverse package, then that means in the first 1 month, we want to help you to even add more accounts or to add more profit centers, because this is how they'll assist you. This person will look at that and they'll feel, oh, wow, so this person actually cares for me. But when I ask them, why not start with the Technoverse at 115,000? And they'll tell me, okay, if I start with the Technoverse package, how will that help me? Then you now sit down and tell them, as a professional in this industry, let me advise you how the Technoverse package will assist you. Have you understood how the professional suggestion works? It can work both ways. You can lower or you can go even higher if and only if your prospect views you as a trusted expert. So your approach should be light, friendly, and relevant. Don't just say things to make sure that you're making more money. It doesn't make sense to the prospect and their situation. You lose any trust that you've earned. Now, let's move to the 6th technique. Make it feel like now or never. This is called the now or never clause or the now or never technique. Now, this works this way. The best time to use this sales technique is when you have a special offer that ends soon. The goal is to get the lead to make a decision pronto, very, very quickly. Pronto is a Portuguese word for very quickly. So the goal is to get the lead to make a decision pronto. Achangamke sayo yo. So say something like, this is the last opportunity to lock in this price, or we are currently offering a 30% discount for anyone who sign ups today. So you're giving them an offer. It is now or forget about it. You usually hear me tell them, guys, this offer is only until tomorrow 10 a.m. By tomorrow 10 a.m., don't come and tell me, hi, I want the mentorship slot. I will already have locked it up. So it is now or never. That is the now or never technique. Now, by creating a sense of urgency, it forces the lead to purchase before missing out. Now, to make this work, be sure to establish the value of your product or service. Make sure that, first of all, they understand. Because if you offer now or never and they don't understand, they'll be like, okay, I don't even understand how this works. So, watch at we kai. The goal is to, first of all, make sure they have all the information. They know what they'll be missing out on if they don't get to be part of this project. And then you're making it feel like now or never by giving them discount, giving them offers, giving them things which they only get if and only if they get to do it right now. This way, they'll find your offer irresistible. If they have all the information, of course, if you make it now or never, they will of course go for it, unless they have their own challenges. Now, let's go to number 7. Now, this is called the summary clause, or summarizing the points. Now, with the summary clause, as you reach the end of the conversation with a prospect, summarize the points you've gone over. Are we together? You hear me say, guys, just before I close this, let me say this once again. This is the value of the 90 days game plan. You're going to be getting this and this and that. Let us help you to grow. Let us help you to start. That is the summary clause. Reiterate the problems. Rudia the problems and the solutions that your product or service offers. This 90 days game plan is going to give you an advantage that not everyone has. This 90 days game plan is going to give you this offer, or is going to give you this value, is going to help you, so that next year you're starting life at a different position, so that next year you are okay financially. Reiterate the problems that they are having and the solutions that your product or service offers, to stress the benefits and the value. Then go over the agreed upon points and package it into an attractive offer. So go over the agreed upon points, and I tell them, so for any person who is getting started today, you're going to get a form, and this form is only coming if and only if you're ready to get started today. I'm not giving it to any person who is not starting today. So once I summarize the 90 days game plan, and I tell them, this is the package that you'll be getting. You'll be getting a 90 days mentorship. You'll be getting an income goal. You'll be getting this and this and that. You'll be getting that and that and that. But the only thing is, you have to start today, and I'll give you a form. I'm giving them one package, which is very much attractive. Sometimes the guests, they even say yes, even if they don't understand. If you visit some of maybe some of the if you visit some of the, or if you check out some of the presentations that in other places they do, someone is ready to even pay the amount of money. Like the other day, you saw someone was saying, where do I send? I want to start this, because it is such an attractive offer and it's a whole package. They know that once I'm getting this mentorship program, I'm getting that, I'm getting this, I'm also getting that, but I only need to do this. It's a whole package. Then ask when they'd like to get started. Are we together? Now, point number 8, that is technique number 8, offering a discounted but less attractive option. And you can give them less attractive option. I gave you an example of, if someone does not want to start with maybe the 39,000, I think this is what I was also explaining earlier on. If someone who doesn't want to go for the new of us, you can tell them, instead of going for this, how about you do this small one? You do this small one of one account, but it will only cost you 26,000. Someone will tell you no. Customers are always looking for a great deal. If you can't go down further on the price, then give them an alternative that's less attractive but more affordable. For example, you can remove a great feature to bring down the rate. Chances are they are not going to want to commit to a buy without that benefit. What do I mean? Sometimes when you are closing someone and they're telling you, I cannot get there, and then you tell them, if you don't want the 3 accounts, then I'll advise you to do this. They look at the option of 1 account and 3 accounts and tell you, no. I'd rather just go for the other one. So they'll think bulking on the price and decide, they'll rethink bulking on the price. All right, so we were done with the discounted price, the offering a less attractive option. That is offering a discounted but less attractive option. Now, so of course, when we go to maybe to buy something, we'll want something that contains all the good things. Like if I want to buy an iPhone, I'll only want an iPhone with 1 TB storage, 16 gigabytes of RAM. I'll only want to buy the best of them all. So when you tell me I'll take down option 1, option 2, let's say we reduce on storage, we reduce on RAM, but I'll give you at a more affordable price, my head will be like, no, 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 no. Is there a way I can get this biggest option? All right, that is a technique. Now, the ninth technique is asking low impact questions. So I was talking about this earlier on. How do you get to understand your prospect? When you ask low impact questions, it comes off lighter and less aggressive. This low impact question, sometimes it's called the yes clause. I'm forgetting the full name, but it's called the yes clause. Basically, you're asking questions to which the answer is just yes, yes, no, yes, no. Those are low impact questions. This can work if you are speaking with a new prospect you've yet to build a rapport with. The goal is to show the benefit of your product and then ask a question to determine if they'd like to learn more about it. For instance, you can ask, if I can reduce the time spent on this and increase that and that, will it align with your company's goal? And how do I close this? When I'm meeting someone and I am asking them, if I can show you how to generate this kind of income on a monthly basis in the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, will it help you? Will it make you some? Will it support you? Will it? Those are low impact questions to which the answer is yes or no. You're asking a question which will help you to understand the mindset of your guests. If I help you to connect your first 4 people, would you be willing to get started in our system? If I help you to do that and that and that, will it support you in maybe doing that and that? So that is a low impact question. Now, if you get a positive answer, then use this time to explain the benefits of your product or service. The idea is to get the prospect to continue the conversation without feeling that they have to commit right away. That is only if you're getting positive. If you're getting positive feedback, then use that time to explain the benefits of your product. Now, I'll show you how to use this strategy. When I tell someone, or when I ask someone, if I help you to make, let's say, 30,000 within your first 1 month, would you be willing to go for this? And then the moment they just tell me yes, I now take out my book and pen and I draw for them how I'm actually going to help them within the first one. And I'll tell them call. Now, when I do my altar call, I make sure that they know if they are not going to do it right now, they just forget about it. There's never going to be another chance like this ever again. So that is a very, very important aspect, because I know some of you are going to be skilled in that area of closing. This is a tool which can help you to get a code even if someone is not yet ready. Mtu anakuambia wow, wacha tu nilipe alafu utanieleza hizo vitu zingine baadaye. You can get a code like that. Mtu atakwambia tu hii opportunity nimesikia ni fiti, though sijaelewa kila kitu, lakini sitaki hii opportunity nipite. Cheki, naweza anza alafu hizo vitu zingine utanifunzia huko mbele. You can get a code like that. Be sure to establish the value of your product or service. This way they'll find your offer irresistible. So number 7 is summarizing the points. So as you reach the end of your conversation or presentation with a prospect, summarize the points you've gone over, reiterate the problems and the solutions your product or services offer to stress the benefits and the value. Then go over the agreed upon points and package it into an attractive offer. Then ask when they'd like to get started. So I usually advise when you're doing the presentation, maybe especially a one-on-one presentation, the moment you just sit down with someone, after you're finalizing the presentation, you tell them, so maybe John, let me just remind you that this is an industry, this is a company. So when you come on board, you'll be buying shares, you'll be having an account, we're going to help you to build a network. And so this is how it's going to be, this is how you can encash your money, just vile tu nimekuelezea. And then finally, these are the starting options. And all this, you're going to get this the moment you become part of us. So I just wanted to know from the entire this, what have you loved the most? you are summarizing the points, because as you go on through the presentation kuna vitu zenye mtu huwa anasahau, so unaenda ukimkumbusha towards the end. Sawa sawa. So number 8, offering a discounted but less attractive option, and I told you this. Number 2 was offering an alternative option. Number 8 is offering a discounted but less attractive option. So you find kuna options zingine zenye unaweza toa mdogo mdogo. Let's say someone wants to start the business and they're telling you, mimi I only have 20,000 mbele nyuma, but I want to get started. You give them the option of starting with one account. Namwambia mimi naweza kusaidia uanze na one account, of which this is how one account looks like. It might not benefit you that much because this one account only helps you with this and this and that. But when you have 3 accounts, you can earn from 3 accounts, and this is this and that and that. This is how we're going to help you to grow. I believe you guys know the difference between one account and 3 accounts. So that when you're offering a discounted option, which is less attractive, a normal human being will always want to go for the best package. Sawa. So let's say, for example, you want to buy a car. Then you go to a yard. You find 2 options. Let's say a Toyota. And then you find, let's say, a BMW, for example. Both of them are almost the same price. Let's say zimeachana na kitu kama 100,000. Unaambiwa hii Toyota iko tu na speedometer imefika 180 kilometers, it has nini na nini na nini na nini na nini na nini. Guys, when I was going to Mombasa sometimes back last year, when tulikuwa naenda kubuy gari ya Collins, tukinegotiate gari ya Collins hapo, which was about 1.9 million. Tukinegotiate hapo 1.9 million, we saw a gentleman akinunua Fielder at 1.8 million. Hadi tulikuwa tunajiuliza mbona huyu jamaa anunue Fielder which is almost the same price as a BMW. Mbona huyu jamaa asinunue tu BMW mara moja? So sometimes you have to make your prospect think big. If I give you this option, John, hii option ya Toyota iko na hii na hii na hii na hii, lakini hii option ya BMW, yes, it's a little bit of expensive, but hebu imagine iko na Harman Kardon surround system, iko na 5 driving modes, iko na sijui nini na nini na nini na nini. Lakini wewe umesema mfuko yako haifiki kwa hii ya BMW, mimi naweza kuadvise uchukue Toyota, alafu uone vile itakusaidia. Someone will sit back and think, why should I go for a Toyota na naweza ongeza tu hapa an extra 100,000 and I get this BMW. So offering a discounted but less attractive option can make your guests to think out loud. Now, the next thing is asking low impact questions, and this is what we call the yes clause. These are questions which the answer to them might be yes, 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 no, yes, no, yes. And when you ask a series of low impact questions, hii ndio nilikuwa nawaambia itakusaidia ujue guest wako kama ni financially capable or not. It will help you to understand your the person that you are dealing with, the type of mindset they are, whether they've loved the business, whether they are giving you positive feedback. This is how you're going to understand them. So when you ask low impact questions, it comes off lighter and less aggressive. This can work if you are speaking with a new prospect you've yet to build a rapport with, and the goal is to show the benefit of your product and ask a question to determine if they'd like to learn more on it. So for instance, you can ask, if I can reduce this and this and this, will that benefit you? Okay. Remember the if I, would you? So unamuuliza those kind of questions. So if I can show you how to generate this kind of income, John, would you be willing to join our business? John, you said you want to start maybe you want to start, let's say, agriculture business, and you said it will require you to have about 200,000 Kenyan shillings for capital. John, if I show you how to generate this 200,000, will you listen to me keenly? Will you be open-minded to it? So the answer is yes, yes, yes. Those are low impact questions. Now, if you get a positive answer, then use this time to explain the benefits of your product or service. In short, show them the plan. If they give you positive feedback, show them the plan. The idea is to get the lead to continue the conversation without feeling like they have to commit right away. Then number 10 is giving something just because. Are we together? Giving something just because. This is an idea, as in unarusha tu pale unaambia, oh by the way, acha nikwambie, by the hata ukianza we'll throw in an extra, let's say vacation, tutakuongezea vacation pale hivyo. When you get started, guess what? We are going to be giving you an extra ticket to our upcoming event. John, you said you were serious about this. Fantastic. So by virtue of you getting started, imagine you are going to be having breakfast with our mentor every single day just because you are a serious person. So the phrase is just because. John, I want to help you to get started. And because I can see you're a serious person, I want to give you the first priority just because you are a serious person. So it doesn't matter whether you are a buyer to buyer or buyer to customer. The consumer will always, or it doesn't matter. I think B2B means buyer to buyer or buyer to customer. So the consumer in you will always light up for a freebie. A freebie ni kitu yenye unaweza pata for free. So use this to your advantage to get your prospects to close. One way to use this to your advantage is to offer something for nothing. As in, you're offering them just something for nothing. Are we together? For instance, throw in a tool, service, or a product at no additional cost. And you hear people telling you, if you buy this phone, it comes with a 1-year warranty. So that means for 1 year, anything happening to that phone concerning software or maybe glass, ikivunjika ya screen, they are going to do it for you for free at no additional cost. We all want that kind of feeling. And in that way, always make sure that anytime maybe someone is hesitating to make a decision, you'll tell them, hey John, because I can see you're a serious person and you're so much ready to do this. How about this? How about, because you are serious about this, I'll add you an additional, let's say 2,000 just to boost you because you're a serious person. Okay, that's what I use. Maybe nikiona mtu pambana, like I also see maybe one of you akianza biashara anapambana. So I just told him, because you're a serious person, I'll add you an extra this amount of money. And so it gives them an extra boost. It gives them the confidence. Are you together? You can say something like, to ensure you get the best result using our product, I will throw in a concierge installation and integration service for free. Sawa. Unamwambia hii normally huwa tunaicharge, lakini because you are a serious person, John, I don't normally buy ticket for everyone. Like for our previous event, for me to get that person to book an account, I just told this person, because you've been serious, but you have not yet decided on joining the business, I'm going to buy you a ticket just because you've been following up on this and you want to be part of us. But the only condition is I'll give you a free ticket if you book your account. I'll give you a free ticket just because you booked an account. Sawa. So know how to use us. We normally charge customers at least $1,500 to perform this task, but we're excited to work with you and we want to see you succeed. So we are going to do it for free. It makes the prospect feel valued and special, and they may feel inclined to take you up on your offer. It's the principle of reciprocity at work. Humans feel the need to return favors. I think I already told you that. Giving value for value. Human beings, we want to reciprocate. Are you together? When someone does something nice to you, you naturally feel so much bad that you want to do something nice for them as well. So when you tell them, John, I'm going to help you, I'm going to give you this just because you're a serious person, automatically they say yes to the opportunity. I'm going to give you a free vacation to Diani, Watamu, South Africa, nini. But the only condition is you have to get started to get a free trip. Of course, they'll get started. Who will not want something for free? Number 11 is inquiring about objections. And on this, I want you to be very careful, because objections can either kill the sale or make the sale. And most times, if you don't know how to handle the objections, you've already killed the sale. Sometimes the objections that need to be handled, they need to be handled properly, not just asking. You cannot just go ahead and inquire about the objections. You can be, okay, I'll show you how to ask for the objections. When I'll teach you the strategy, there's a way in which you can ask about the objections. So they are inevitable in the sales world. Objections will always be. In fact, even you guys, even before you got started, there were some things which were preventing you from joining the business. I remember some of you even had to join the meeting second time, third time, fourth time, because there were some things which you wanted to really, really know. And so you had to inquire from the person who shared with you the link, or you had to join the meeting again so that you can learn it again and again and again. Are we together? So they are inevitable in the sales world. So it's best to prepare for them. In fact, be proactive by asking about objections in advance. You can be asking about them, or you can be tackling them before they come up. Let's say in a presentation, you clearly know people normally face this kind of challenge. Are you together? Sometimes you see ads in social media, or let's say in TVs and radios. They tell you other detergents, they do not wash after the first time. This is how they look like after the first. That's an objection they are handling, because at the back of your mind, you're wondering, if I use this detergent, if I use this soap, will it remove that ama itakuwa like the others? So when you are when you're watching that advert, you are clearly hoping that, oh God, let this not be like all those other soaps or those other detergents. So when they show you this detergent works this way compared to the other ones, they're already handling an objection. Are we together? Clearly, guys, you have been in the business. You are on the inside. You know some of the challenges you faced before you got inside the project, or some of the questions you had before you got into the project. So when you're presenting to someone the opportunity, why not tackle them so that they don't ask those questions? Are we together? You tackle them before they come up. Are we together? But in any case they come up, you can still ask about them. If we are to start this today, what is the only thing that is preventing you from being part of our business? Maybe you have gone through that, and that person is still not yet ready to make a decision. You can clearly ask them, John, I can clearly see you are not ready to become part of our project, and that's okay. So mind if I ask, is there anything that is preventing you, or something that you would like to ask to get more information so that you are in a better position to be part of us? Is there anything that is preventing you? You can just ask them, John, where is the problem? Why haven't you made a decision to join our business? You're inquiring about the objection. This way, you can better understand the positions of your prospect. And with this insight, you can prepare to clear up any doubts and get them on board. I'll show you how to clear their doubts and how to help them to get them on board. Now, a good time to ask this is when the prospect seems hesitant about moving forward. Exactly what I was telling you. John, I can clearly see there's something that you're not telling me. Oh, John, why haven't yet you made a decision to buy this product, to use this, to buy this iPhone? And when they give you that objection, you handle it with grace. Don't become defensive. Maybe someone will tell you, I was wondering, do I need to convince people to join the project? Don't be defensive. Go through the presentation with them, or you can use words like, as it was explained, or as I had told you earlier, or John, as I had explained. Those are the words. Don't be like, no, 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 no. You don't have to convince people. You don't, no, 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 apana. Just like I had explained to you during the presentation, John, we have this thing called the spillover support system. And in this spillover support system, this is how it works. This is how blah, 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 blah. And someone will ask you, if I get started, will I be required to, let's say, dress officially like you guys? I'll just tell them, John, I understand that might be a concern, but this is what is actually happening. Never start with a no or a yes. There is no question in this business that should be answered with a yes or a no. So if someone asks you, do I need to convince people to join the business? It is not a yes or a no. You start with, maybe that's a good question, John. Just like we had discussed in the presentation. Or, John, that's a very good question. Let me take you through again that last bit on. John, that's a very good question. Or Anne, Susan, fantastic. I was wondering when you were going to ask me that question. If I get started in this business today, will I be as successful as those people? It is not yes or no. But John, this is how we are going to work. And at some point, blah, 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 at some point, this is how you're going to be. So, of course, John, you're going to be a good leader like them. You're going to be a top earner like person so and so. You're going to be, as in, don't ever answer a question with a yes or a no. Unless someone is asking you, can I pay now? Even if they ask you, yes, can I pay now? You tell them, are you ready to get, are you sure you're ready to make a decision? Are you ready to get started? They'll tell you yes, tell them, fantastic, let's move forward. So I hope you guys are getting that point. I hope you're really learning in this session on the point number 11 on inquiring about the objections. Let's go to number 12, listing the pros and cons. This is listing the advantages and disadvantages. Another way to work a hesitant prospect is to get them to list the advantages and disadvantages of buying your product. And this is a great tactic. This is a great tactic for helping prospects to see a clear picture of why they should move forward. But this will only work if they can point out more advantages than disadvantages, or the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Are we together? So you show them the advantages of them being part of the project. How can you do that? Sometimes you might need to maybe share success stories. Sometimes you might need to show them the potential of the business. Sometimes you might need to show them other people who are doing well in their similar position, maybe in the same field of experience. Maybe someone is an engineer. Show them how engineers are actually doing it. Someone is a lawyer. Show them, introduce them to lawyers who are actually doing so well, so that they can see the advantages. Are you together? So for example, a product may be quite pricey, might be having a high price, but in the long time, it will give you a good return on investment. It will increase productivity and enhance operation. This makes it feel like the offer is worth the investment. If needed, help paint the picture in case, help them to paint the picture in case they fail to see all the pros. So basically, help them to list out the advantages. You can tell them, by virtue of you being part of our project, you can get free mentorship. Number 2, you get a chance to earn a daily income for a lifetime. Number 3, it means you can get your money on a daily basis. Maybe encashment process, you don't have to wait until maybe Friday or till the end of the month. By virtue of you being part of us, you can leave this business to your next of kin. You can get access to both domestic and international vacation. Imagine the company takes care of your health by providing quality health supplements. On top of all that, it is just a one-time purchase. So that means you don't have to renew every month, no. And lastly, you are getting an international office. You're giving them all the advantages so that when they see the advantages, they will clearly look at all those advantages and wonder, if the only problem I have is lacking money, and these are all the advantages I can get, screw the lacking of money, I'm going for this. Let's go to number 13, matching the offer to their needs. And this is a very good closing technique. You identify the needs of that person. Buyer, I think these buyer to buyer purchases are more about needs versus wants. Right, together. There's a difference between needs and wants. Needs are those basic things that we cannot live without. For example, we were taught in school, The three basic human needs are food, shelter, and clothing. Those are the three basic needs. All right. Those are things which you cannot live without. And then there are wants. Wants are like maybe a mobile phone, maybe an extra pair of shoes, a comfortable, luxurious apartment. Those are now wants. Quality food, those high-end food, traveling the world, those are now wants. Are you together? So if you can find a way to focus on your prospect needs, the basic things which they cannot live without, and how your solution can provide it, then this is going to be a done deal even before you know it. What are some of the needs and wants that people have? So the basic needs like food, shelter, and clothing, most of them people have. But now we want to give them even more wants. We want to give them even more wants. People, things which on top of the needs, like food, yes. But we want to make you have even more quality food. You want a house, we want to make sure that you have an even better house. We want to make sure you want clothing, that you can even have better clothing. So you're working with the needs and the wants of these people. And it can be as simple as maybe their basic needs. For example, people are wondering how they can pay their rent. It can be a basic need like people are wondering how to put food on the table. It can be a basic need like, let's say, they maybe they are not okay with the way they are dressed. So that can be as basic as that, and it can go all the way up to having vacations, buying a car. Those are wants. Those are things which we can live without, but they are not necessarily essential to our survival. But we will still want to have them anyway. So to do this, ask the prospect what they are trying to achieve and what they need to make it happen. You can ask, I'll show you some of the questions you can ask. You can ask them, John, where do you see yourself in the next 2 to 3 years in our organization? John, where do you see yourself in the next 1 year, assuming you are not part of this business? They'll tell you, I want to own a business. You can ask them, John, what do you hope to accomplish in a few years? John, what is your biggest dream? What is your biggest hope in this life? When you ask them those kind of questions, and then you look at the business that you have to present to them, and you only present the main points that they need. For example, someone will tell you, for me, I want to do a lot of charity work in this world. I'm hoping to start a foundation. When you tackle the presentation, that is someone who has already told you their need. Show them how in this project we also do charity work, or how we do thing A, 2, 3, number 1, 2, 3 things. Use this intel to align it with your product or service. When you make your offer, it will show how making a purchase will eliminate their problems and improve their efforts. This goal is to help them see how your product benefits them. Are we together? Now, number 14, that is measuring the solution 1 to 10. And knowing how interested a prospect is in your product helps gauge their willingness to close. So by asking them to measure their eagerness from 1 to 10, you can learn this. I think there's a question for this I'm going to share with you. John, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you see yourself on getting started in our business? John, considering whatever has just been presented to you, on a scale of 1 to 10, I want to know, where do you see yourself on getting started or on being part of our project? They'll tell you 3, 4, 6, 10. 10 out of 10, very much ready to do this. Fantastic. Go ahead and close that sale. So if they are higher up use their rating, you can decide how to move forward. If they are somewhere in the middle, question them about their hesitance. See what objections they have that you can counter. If they are higher up the scale, then use this as an indicator to seal the deal with an exceptional offer. Match the benefits to their needs to provoke them to buy today. Then number 15 is using visual content. And I told you, use slides. If you have your story, share your story using slides. If you have, let's say, some testimonial videos of people who are in a similar position, I told you, use it. There are several ways to do this, such as showing videos, charts, and photos. Anything you can do to help them visualize what you're saying. Even the presentation, there's a reason why we use slides. Otherwise, we could just be talking to them. So guys, close your eyes. I want you to imagine you have a left or a right. On top of that, you have a 4,008. No, 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 no. We cannot do that. People find visuals appealing, and that's why. So why not make them work for your next closing conversation? Use photos. Usiwaenda kuclose mtu ati where do you hope to accomplish, and then next. Now that you want to accomplish that, next. No, 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 no. Oh, you want to accomplish that? Let me show you a gentleman who was just like you. Or let me share with you a word from the CEO of the organization. Let me share with you some photos of our previous event. So instead of talking numbers, create slides with graph and charts rather than discussing what the product can do. Show a short demo, video, or GIF. Sawa. Number 16 technique is showing empathy for their situation. And this one will really help you out a lot. People are really suffering outside there. So the worst thing that you can do is also be strict with them. Ati, John, you don't have the money to get started. You are a very useless person. In fact, no. People are really suffering outside there. And the worst thing you can do is also be uncaring. So salespeople get a bad reputation for being cold and caring. Uncaring, you don't care. You just want to make your money. You just want to make your profit. And sometimes we as salespeople might be getting that kind of feeling, that kind of reception. So turn this on its head by showing you are human. Anytime you're sitting down with your guest, with your follow-up, with your champion, with your upline, there's a chance for you to show that you're a human being, especially to your follow-up, to your downline. Show them you are a human being and you empathize with their situation. There's a difference between being empathetic and being sympathetic. Someone who is empathetic, let me start with sympathetic. Najua maybe inaweza wachanganya. Sympathy ni kuonea mtu huruma, ile akiwoye, akipole, aki nini. Those kind of things are so bad, especially when you lose a loved one and someone comes and tell you, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. That thing really, I really don't like it. Instead of doing that, be empathetic. Empathy inamaanisha you're putting yourself in that person's shoes and you relate with them and you tell them, John, you don't have the money. I know it is a very bad. I know you're feeling so bad. I was also in a similar situation. Or John, I completely get where you're coming from. John, I understand your situation. John, you remind me of me when I was getting started. John, you said you don't have the money. I really feel the pain that you're going through. That is different from, you don't have the money. Oh, I'm so sorry. Don't worry. Don't worry. That is, you're not being empathetic. You're just making that person continue feeling so much worse. The best way to achieve this is to show empathy for the needs of your prospect. Be genuine with your prospecting questions. Use them to learn more about the lead and their situation. So try to relate and show understanding to create a unique bond with the lead. By building a relationship and trust, the prospect will more than likely accept your recommendations and proposals. So you can tell them, John, oh, I actually relate. I was this and this and this, but this is what I did. And maybe I can advise you, go and do the same. John, you said you are a student. I really relate because I was also a student. John, you said you are employed right now. That's okay. You can, I know of a few people who started from there and right now they're doing this. So probably I can advise you to work on this and that and see how you can do that. So They will most likely accept your recommendations and proposals. If they are not ready, be understanding. Sometimes it takes a little more time for them to make a final decision. All right. It takes an average of 8 to 10 exposures for someone to join the business. Exposures mean seeing this, seeing that, seeing that, and that, and that, and that. Sometimes a presentation is not enough. Up closing is not enough. Sometimes it takes them a second presentation or an event or meeting with 2 or 3 team leaders or seeing the office or seeing encashment, or sometimes it takes about 8 to 10 exposures. That is what I mean when I say exposure. Exposure simply means that they are exposed to something new every time, or they're exposed to the same thing 8 to 10 times for them to make a decision. So someone can see, let's say, the office. After that is one exposure. Number 2, they meet a team leader. That's a second exposure. The next day they can come, they meet another person. That's an exposure. Number 4, they come to an event. That's an exposure. Number 4. Number 5, they can maybe taste our coffee. That exposure number 5. Number 6, they can, let's say, see people from the same industry or the same field they are in. That's another exposure. So it takes an average of about 7 to 10 exposures or 8 to 10 exposures for someone to make a decision. So don't ever think that a presentation is enough. That's why we have that WhatsApp group to share more and more and more and more. The more you share there, the more exposures you're giving to your guest every day, every day, every day. Number 17 is highlighting the skill, work, and time to put into a product. Sometimes someone might be wondering, I would really love to go for this, but what do I need for me to become like that person? Or for me to enjoy the full benefits of this company? What do I need for me to become like person so and so? All right. So what sets apart a high value product from a low end product? It's not just what it offers, but how it's perceived by the prospect. When you have a product or service that seems thrown together, it's not as enticing. What appeals to customers is a product or service that took work, skill, and time to create. And I think we all admire people who have made it, and you have seen them struggling to put things together. For example, we admire some celebrities compared to how they started. You are like, man, for example, maybe say Sauti Sol. We might be admiring Sauti Sol because we know how they all started. And so even when we're talking about Sauti Sol, we'll all be discussing, oh, did you even hear their first song? Do you remember how they used to look like? Okay, for those who know, probably most of you don't remember how they all started. But for those who remember how they started, anytime they even put up a festival or a concert that costs 5,000 Kenyan shillings, you'll be like, I'm getting value for this because these people, they can really do it. Why do you think people prefer buying iPhones even though they're expensive? Because this technique that is highlighting the skill, work, and time put into a product, this technique, iPhone really uses it. They'll tell you this iPhone, we have done this. It has 3 cameras which can do zoom, which can maximize the photo quality. We use this photo. This gadget has 1 TB storage and it can last you for 12 hours battery. This screen is, even when you sit back and you look at the iPhone, you just admire the time and effort that these people have took they are putting into making sure that iPhone looks that beautiful. So when you highlight that, when you tell someone this product costs 300,000, my God, they'll not even complain. They'll be like, yes, it is true. All right. Now, how do we put this into practical situation in our business? Sometimes when you highlight the advantages of our business, we share the success stories, we share all the systems, we share our achievements and so on and so forth. When you tell someone that for you to enjoy all this, you only need 39,000, someone will look at it and they'll say, it is totally worth it. Even if I don't have the money, it is and I don't think any one of you complained that they cannot get started. Even if you said you cannot get started because you don't have the money, you appreciated. You did not say, why is it 39,000? Why couldn't you guys put it at 3,000? None of you asked it. Even if you complained and you said, I don't have the money, you still knew the value of 39,000 and you're like, even if I don't have it, I'm going to raise it. Are we together? Because you understood the value that you're getting from the business. So even if you don't have the money, you will go there and you will get it, and you will not complain. I don't think any one of you complained when you were making the payment. I don't think any one of you said, this 39,000 is too much. It's too much. Wacha tu nilipe. No. You are like, this 39,000 is too much, but I know the value that I'm getting. Are we together? Why do you think sometimes people prefer to join our business, but yet there are some funny business ideas huko nje and some hot air programs which cost 1,000 bob or 300, send 300 shillings, click that link, join it, spin the wheel to earn. Why do you think people will still look at this business and they'll say, I'd rather join this one that costs 39,000 Kenyan shillings? Why do you think? Because when they compare the benefits and the structure and the history of this company, they'll be like, I'm actually getting more value. And there's something which I discovered earlier on, about 2-3 years ago, when I was in the business, and the starting package was 23,000 Kenyan shillings. Now, the company announced that they were moving to EdPlan 2.0, and EdPlan 2.0 had more benefits compared to the original system. My worry was, how will this 23,000, I have problems encoding people with 23,000. Now the company is shifting it to 26,888. How will I convince someone to join the business? And that thing really scared me. But guess what? That is the time now my business started booming. And I was even worried, why do I have 3 accounts? I need to add more accounts. Because I discovered it was during the pandemic, immediately around September 2020, around that time, the company is shifting to EdPlan 2.0, and we were wondering, the economy is failing, people are suffering. Why is the company pushing it to 27,000 Kenyan shillings? But then that is the time that even more people were joining the business. Now, leave that. 2022, last year, when it was shifting in the month of March, when it was shifting from EdPlan 2.0 to EdPlan 3.0, we were given the news that the package will, the Neoverse package will be at 39,000 for 3 accounts. And I was even more scared, and I was wondering, where 27,000 gave me headache. Why are they even pushing it to 39,000 for 3 accounts? And I discovered that is in fact, I was in our team, that is Better on Your Life project. I was the first person to produce a Neoverse package, and within a period of 2 weeks, I had produced 5 Neoverse packages. I was even wondering, why was I even struggling? I hit the first ever promo that was given when they were shifting. This Get 3, Get 4, Get 5 promo, it came with the EdPlan 3.0 in March 2022. So when they came with this promo between March 13th or 15th until April 15th, that was the first promo that was ever held. It was Get 3. I hit that promo and I even surprised myself. I'm like, man, so in fact, this system is even sweeter. And I convinced myself, even if the starting package is going to be pushed to 50,000 Kenyan shillings, in fact, that is when you're going to get even more codes, even more signups. That's how business works. If you build your brand very well, people will pay the price no matter how high it is. This makes the solution feel high quality, feel higher quality, and worth obtaining. So use this to win over leads who value and appreciate the effort to put into a product. Rather than highlighting the benefits, you'll talk about your process, operations, and rather than highlighting the benefits, you'll talk about your processes, operations, and efficiency. So maybe a prospect might ask, why should I join this? And I've seen other things of, I can join with this in this kind of business. You will show them. Well, in as much as you're going to join this, Ebu, imagine you're going to miss out on all this and this and this, and this is how ours actually works, and this is the benefits that you can get. And this is how it is producing results. So someone will say, okay, so this one works this way. Okay, let me now join this one because I think if this one can get me that, I'm in. Are you together? So number 18, discussing the opportunity cost. And discussing the opportunity cost, you are showing them what they are going to lose when they don't buy into your product or your project. If a prospect fails to purchase your product, what will they lose? Not just the chance to acquire your solution, but the benefit it brings. For instance, missing out on the opportunity to increase their return on investment or save on overhead costs. So John, I know probably you are not ready to go for this right now, but I want you to imagine all these things that you have seen. You see the mentorship program. Imagine you're missing out on a chance to be mentored by the best of them. You saw the 90 days challenge. Oh my God, John. Imagine every person who finishes the 90 days program, they're already the top earners in our industry. John, you are going to miss out on a chance for you to secure a vacation. John, you're going to miss out on a chance for you to be making a daily income. John, make that decision. This turns your offer from being just another purchase to being an investment. Stress how investing in your product or service will produce X results. So the goal is to get leads to see what they are foregoing the longer they wait to purchase. Remember, John, if you keep on being interested and you're not ready, imagine you're going to miss out on the spillover support. That is the timing and positioning. John, I want you to get started right now because I have 3 people who are ready to do their payment today or tomorrow. And the moment you're purchasing your package, these 3 people who they're going to be making their payments. I'm going to place them below you. And from there onward, John, you are going to be making an income from the spillover. You're going to be making 4,800 from the spillover support system. That is if and only if. But if you take your time, I might not consider you. All right. Number 19 is selling ownership of your solution. And sometimes people have to be artists. Salespeople have to be artists. They must paint a mental picture in your prospect's mind to sell a concept, not just the product. If you can do this, then you can potentially get prospects to visualize owning your product and how it benefits their business. So try something like this. What would you do with 25% increase in revenue from using our product? That's a very basic example on that. But in our industry or in our project, I usually tell them, guys, for the first 3 months, or for the first 1 month, or for the first 1 year, this is the kind of income you'll be making, or this is the kind of life you'll be enjoying. What will 100,000 do for you every single month, assuming you're part of organization? If we can help you to make 100,000 Kenyan shillings every single month, where will it help you? What will you do with it? If I can give you a chance to travel to any one of these 4 vacations, will you go for it? Assuming you are part of our business, in the next 1 year, where do you see yourself? Assuming you are part of our industry, how much money would you want to make in a 1-year scenario? Or for a start, how much would you want to be making on a monthly basis? Unamfanya anafikiria. You make them think of how much value they are going to get from using this system or from being part of our project. Get them to talk about your solution like they already own it. From here, you can try to commit them to a sell. Another way to use this sales technique is to tell compelling stories about achieving goals, crushing competitors, and streamlining growth. So you can use this technique to tell compelling stories. Imagine that was a nurse just like you, John. And John, this friend of yours who was a nurse, look at how they're progressing. Imagine both of you would have been here. John, look at this 1 year scenario, and I want you to see how in the next 1 year you could be owning a car. I want you to see how you could quit your job. I want you to see how you can travel the world. I want you to see you put them in a seat in the driver's seat where they can look at the project and they just start daydreaming. They start dreaming. They start wondering, oh my God, this is how much I can get. So let's go to number 20, which is the second last technique, letting them know why now is the best time. This is almost the same as the now or never technique. And getting a prospect to believe is the goal. Your goal is to make sure that they believe now is the time for them to do it, for them to go ahead and do it. And you can do this by pointing out facts that trigger this thought pattern. For instance, maybe a competitor recently secured more funding, or there's a holiday sale with major discounts, or your lead is planning to expand into new markets. So basically, the key is tying a timely event with your product so the prospect reconsiders. And so how do I do this? A very good example is you can tell them, I want to help you to get started before our 7th anniversary, because after the 7th anniversary, we have already launched a 90 days game plan. So by the time you're clearing for this event, you'll be given the best advantage, or you'll be given the front row seats to our event, or you'll be given the first priority. Basically, you're giving them value so that they can make a decision right now, and that value has to be true. You can tell them, John, I know you want to wait until December so that you can get started. Let me tell you, any person who is doing this right now, because we have 1 or 2, 3 things happening this weekend, you will be getting that advantage or disadvantage. Basically, John, this time right here is the best time for you to start, because any time past that, you would have missed out on all this. Basically, an event or a timely discount. You can tell them this discount is only for this 1 week, so you need to take advantage of it before it ends, because after that, prices are going to increase. Now, number 21, using testimonials and case studies. And I think this is pretty much obvious. If you're not already using social proof to close details, then it's time to start. It's one of the biggest tools you have to slay at sales closing. But don't just choose any testimonial or case study. Select those that closely relate to their business and situation. Choose the ones which hit the spot. Don't go sharing every success story. Don't go sharing every testimonial. No, highlight the major ones, which upon listening is likely to trigger something. If I want to make a student join the business, I don't even struggle. I just get another student and I tell them, hey, come. You said you're a student? Okay. What can you advise John here as a student now that you're also a student? And they'll share their story. Or if a person is not there, I'll pick a testimonial of someone who is a student and I'll just share with them, John, this is person so and so. If I want to close someone who is employed, in Gulf, what will I do? I'll just time Sharon and I'll tell Sharon, what can you advise my friend here? Susan is not yet making a decision. What can you advise them? Or I'll just take slides, the Sharon, or slides or videos of people who have been in that situation, and I'll share them, and I'll tell this person, look. So be very careful. Don't just share any story for the sake of sharing. No, share and use an effective story. So find a success story of a business of a similar size and industry with a relevant issue and discuss how your product or service resolve it. Then let them know you believe you can help them to achieve the same result. So Susan, as I was telling you, instead of doing that, or instead of being in that situation permanently, I can help you the same way I've helped all these other people who are employed to also become success in our business. It's a great sales closing technique for prospects on the fence without making a purchase. Are you together? And finally, note well, move more prospects through your sales funnel. You cannot close someone you have not presented to. You cannot present to someone you have not invited. You cannot invite to someone you have not you cannot invite someone you have not prospected. So it is a funnel. Ni kama kichungi. Let me use kichungi. You see that kichungi yenye inakaanga kama nini ice cream cone. Ile kitu ya kuweka ice cream ndani. Unaona hiyo nini? That is your sales funnel. So make sure for things to go through down at the bottom. For things to go through down to the bottom, what do they do? They have to start from the top. So move more prospects through your sales funnel. A rusty sales pipeline is slow and unproductive. By using it up with the right sales closing strategies, you can improve performance and generate more sales. Basically, what I mean is close more people so that you get more sales. How can you close more people? Expose more people to your project. The moment you expose more people and you close more people, that means you'll be getting more results. So use this list of sales techniques to come up with campaigns to test, keep track of which methods work and for which prospects. You may find a pattern tying specific tactics to certain situation, industries, and groups. Over time, you'll get better at selecting the best road to take on each sales meeting. Until then, keep on practicing. So ladies and gentlemen, those have been the 21 sales closing techniques. And we are finally done with that closing sales technique.